And welcome back, everyone. It's your host, MeanJean, and I'm here with.
B-rad.
What's up? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm actually not doing very good. Like
What's
I,
what's wrong?
I feel like shit. It's like really hard for me to breathe, and I'm just like I have this real persistent cough. I really don't know what to do.
Huh? No way. When did this start?
About like a couple days ago, like,
Mm.
and I feel really weak, and I
Oh
know
boy.
you have like some medical, you have kind of like a medical background, right?
Yeah, I have a PhD in memeology. So, if I were, as your physician, I'm going to prescribe you two things. Number one, stop going outside, please. And number two, this is why are you laughing? First of all, number two, I'm going to prescribe you to one Greycast, which is coming your way right now.
And welcome
That's
back,
okay.
everyone, to another episode of the Greycast. And we're here, and we're going to talk about the Kingdom Hearts franchise. We're both really big fans of it, and we actually bonded a lot over just the fact. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know a lot of people who play Kingdom Hearts.
No, it's pretty limited for me, or at least people that have played it as much as you and I. I only have one or two other friends that are that dedicated.
Right. So,
I mean, we're so dedicated. You actually got me for my birthday one year. You got me a Kingdom Hearts gift.
yes, it was like the the game series is about.
Oh, see, there's the cough. There's the cough. He has it.
No,
You
there's
got
something in
it.
my throat. I'm just like,
No, no, no,
whoa.
no, 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 no. He got it. He got it. Everyone, stay away from him.
I'll be fine. I'm self quarantining. But yeah,
He's
so
he's not.
I remember I did. It was for Christmas, right? I think it wasn't your birthday, was it? It was
It was
Christmas.
it was one or the other. Let's go with Christmas.
Yeah, they're pretty close. But yeah, I got you the whole a keychain set of the Kingdom Hearts. It's still there in
Yep,
display.
it's still on display.
All right. So I'm gonna start this by saying how I got into Kingdom Hearts. So that was back when I was in the eighth grade, which was not to date myself too much, but that was in 2008, and I was just watching Disney Channel,
Oh, so you were
and
2000s baby. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue.
that's an inside joke, but that's for another time. But I was just watching. No, actually, it would make this is all messed up, but it was actually sixth grade, and I was watching Disney Channel, and if you know anything about Kingdom Hearts, it's basically Final Fantasy characters and Disney characters all in one world. I don't know whose fever dream that was, but it worked out.
It
And
worked out. It was a weird elevator pitch from the creator of the series, Tetsuya Nomura. At the time, um, Square it was SquareSoft back then. Now it's Square Enix. SquareSoft had an office in a building in somewhere in Japan, and in that same building, Disney had an office. And he basically managed to get on an elevator with someone from Disney, and in that like 1 minute, he pitched the idea. And it changed over time, but that's how the series started on an actual elevator.
right,
And it's been nothing but up and down since then.
right, and you don't have to check it. You don't have to fact check us. Just trust us. He's a
Oh yeah, no, no,
doctor.
no. Yeah, exactly.
So right, so for me, it was I was watching Disney Channel and they were advertising Kingdom Hearts 2. And it's weirdly enough that you know those one memories like you can't remember what you ate last week, but this random memory like over 10 years ago, like I remember this commercial perfectly. I remember who
Yep.
was in it, and I don't know if you remember Corey from Corey in the House and That's So Raven's little brother.
Well, yeah, that was the anime. That was the big anime back then. Cory in the House and Dragon Ball Z. Those were the hot animes on Toonami.
And I love that crossover too, Corey in the Ball Z.
That's
And
good.
And I just remember him just talking about the game, and I was like, "This game is ridiculous." Like you tell me Final Fantasy characters and Disney World. Like for me, it was such a weird sell. But the only reason I got into it is because I saw that it looked really good. So I went to GameStop with my mom one day, and I saw they had Kingdom Hearts One pre-owned on sale for like $10. So I was like, "Oh,
Nice.
cool! I remember this from the commercial." So I picked up. I actually started with Kingdom Hearts 2. So I picked up Kingdom Hearts 2 and then played it to the end. Completely lost in the story.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say you must have been so lost.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if I played it in order, I would have still been lost. But
Oh no, I
yeah.
was lost playing it, and I played it in order too.
But after Kingdom Hearts 2, I went back to Kingdom Hearts 1.
Okay.
And what was yours? Your experience?
So yeah, I started with one. I was at a friend's house. This was I guess third grade. I'm not gonna date myself being a '90s baby and all, but
Oh my god.
I guess it was about third grade. I was at a friend's house and they were playing this game. I'm like, wait a second, that's Beast from Beauty and the Beast. I'm so confused. What type of game is this? And they said, oh, this is Kingdom Hearts. And at that point in time, he was toward the end of the game. He was at Hollow Bastion, and I was just like so blown away by the music, the just the design of that specific world and everything. And I was like, I need to know what this is. So within a few weeks, I managed to convince my family to get me a PlayStation 2 and that game. So that's where it started, and it's been not every game since, but a majority of them since on, geez, what are we talking, like 4 or 5 different platforms that this series has reached on now?
Yeah, it has to be. Kingdom Hearts started
It's
on
pretty
PS2.
unfair.
Yeah, you'd have to like if
And
you.
now it's just like, oh, everyone can play it on Xbox. It's like, no, that's not fair.
Oh, not even that. The remakes they did. The remakes are ridiculous.
The
Like
remakes are ridiculous.
they took such a long time to get out their newest installment that they made a remake for the PS3, and then when the PS4 came out, then they were like, we're gonna make the remake again.
Yeah.
And was there a difference between the PS3 version and the PS4, like in terms of quality, or they just re-released it again for the
I
PS4?
think are you talking about like 1.5 and 2.5? Because I think it
Right.
was just maybe slightly better graphics because it's a newer console.
It
I don't think there was
was
anything majorly different, like gameplay wise or anything.
they were just like, hey, remember, we're still here, and get
Yeah.
ready, Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming up. And we're okay,
But
cool.
yeah.
Thanks for making us wait 9 years, though.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both bought PlayStations around the same exact time. And I think it was in our head. It was like, oh, at some point in time, we'll get Kingdom Hearts 3 on this system. And I think it took 5 years of owning a PS4 before it actually came out. And that was one of the main reasons I bought a PS4. Luckily, I got a lot of like use out of that system with other games.
Right.
Otherwise, it would have been pretty mad.
Yeah. For me, I've always been a PlayStation, not Xbox. I'm Team PlayStation all the way. So I was always blessed with.
I'm a free spirit. I go both ways.
He says that, but he's only playing PS4 right now. Oh, I didn't even
Excuse
get
me.
that. Pause.
I mean, I do have a PC now. I'm part of the master race. So
He did change. He left me. That's it
no,
now.
I'll come and visit sometimes.
Thanks for gracing me with your presence.
Yeah, I'll beat you up in fighters whenever you want.
All right, that'll be another podcast. All right, I got you. But that's enough of the backstory. We right now the episode of this episode of the Greycast is we're gonna talk to you about the whole Kingdom Hearts franchise. Not like a summary really, but like a review of it.
Yeah, we're basically just gonna go through all 9 or 10 games. Technically, there's more with the remakes, but we're just gonna go with the actual, original game, or I guess we could include the remix within that title, and just rate each one on a scale of 1 to 10.
Right. So obviously we would start at Kingdom Hearts 1.
That's right.
So basically the gameplay for it is if you've played Final Fantasy VII, the original, not the remake, and you know how it's turn based and you have to wait and select. I never got into those kind of games. 'Cause
Boring.
I hated turn based games like that. Like it was just like this is going way too slow pace for me, and I would literally just like get up and go and feel like, oh, I forgot I was playing. Like you wouldn't need to pause or anything. But I loved in Kingdom Hearts, like the combat was ongoing. Like you can't just there's no stopping. Like everyone's just attacking, and you
Yes.
wouldn't have to worry about this person's frozen, so you have to skip 2 turns, or this person's doing a heal, but you have to wait till the healing's done. I was never into that for Final Fantasy, but Kingdom Hearts, if you looked at it, you could like I almost thought that Kingdom Hearts was in the Final Fantasy world, as in like it was just another Final Fantasy game because
Mm.
the head designer, he worked on Final Fantasy, so you'll see
Yes.
a lot of the art style in Kingdom Hearts. So it's
Yeah.
your normal hack and slash, like you're mashing the attack button, and the type of bosses you have all kinds of bosses. You have ones that have different limbs, so you gotta hit the limbs differently. There's some that you have to parry before you attack back.
All right.
It was a fun game, even as a and especially you never thought of seeing Disney characters like this. So if you're
No,
a
no,
fan
no,
of
no.
Disney characters, like it hit you different to see them like fight like darkness and evil and everything. When
Yeah,
they're
it was
just like
so for me that was so cool.
yeah, it was just like about princesses and everything. So I regret not starting there because I would understand who these people are and everything. But
Hmm.
still playing Kingdom Hearts 2 and going into Kingdom Hearts 1, I was still like, oh, that's this person. Like I get it now. Like it's almost like playing the game in Fracture. So how was your experience for it?
I mean, mine was great. For me, like always, being a fan of Disney movies and stuff as a kid, discovering a game like this was so mind-blowing. And then getting to see these Disney characters like slightly relive the plot of those movies, but with some added twists and stuff. But then seeing, your main characters like Donald and Goofy interacting in these other Disney worlds, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, and The Little Mermaid, and, Beauty and the Beast and stuff. It was so I guess that might have been like my first like fourth. I don't know if you would consider that fourth wall breaking, but it was something so bizarre, but I totally loved it, and I absolutely loved the gameplay experience. I'd never really been a turn based style guy, and I definitely wouldn't have really enjoyed it if that was my first one. Um, I really like the story for Kingdom Hearts 1. It's probably my favorite story because it was very uh, while still a little confusing, it was the most simple. It was before Tetsuya Nomura and the rest of the company said, let's just confuse the shit out of everybody. This game was just, here's the main character. He gets a special weapon. He's got to save the day. And it was simple enough. And even though things were a little weird here and there, trying to learn about, like, Ansem, who was the main villain in the first game, and other different, things going on in the world of Kingdom Hearts, it was very simple. It was easy enough. The gameplay was great, even though this is probably the hardest game out of all of them because Sora's the main character. His mechanics are much less than as the games progress. He gets more and more abilities. It's easier for you to fight. It's easier for him to. It's easier to maneuver him. This one was the hardest, but I think I liked that the most because it gave me challenge. And I feel it's the game that I remember. Maybe I don't know if that's just nostalgia or if maybe they just like honestly peaked with this game and they're trying to match that.
Well, okay, I agree with you on a lot of points. I thought the
Mm-hmm.
game was very simple and clean.
Aha, I knew it. I almost said it.
I don't know why you did it. You kept saying simple, and I was waiting for the and clean. But if I had to rate the game, playing it when it came out and everything, I would give it a
Mm-hmm.
really high score. But to see how far it's come now, like
Mm-hmm.
if you see Kingdom Hearts 2, the whole fighting mechanics and how you would we'll keep that separate. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts, it was a great entry into it, and for me it does rank really high. Like even though it was the first game, came out in 2002, and they did a lot more as the years went on,
Mm-hmm.
it was a really major staple. Uh,
Absolutely.
for me, you want to give it a rating?
Yeah, you go first.
I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Ooh, mine is much higher. I gave it a perfect 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't give it that high
Mm-hmm.
is because of how simple it is. Because it really is just like just hit X X X X X X.
Mm-hmm.
Because as the games go like later in, they add more things. Like
No, that's 100% true. It does get, yeah, there is more for the character, which in some ways makes it easier for you, but also provides more of an experience. But I
right
think I kind of like that
simplicity.
with limited abilities, the gameplay was actually harder. It took a lot more effort to actually be prepared to, uh, you know, parry some of the characters, or use your magic properly, or wait for the right moment. It provided a better challenge, I guess.
Right, and me and Brendan are big fans of the series.
Hmm.
I don't think either one of us have beaten Sephiroth yet.
Not in that game, no. In Kingdom Hearts 1, I have still not beaten him.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is a lot easier. Yeah,
Still tough, but much easier.
I never beat him in Kingdom Hearts 2 either. So,
Aw, guy. I've
um,
beaten him a couple times now.
Okay, weird flex, but okay. Then the next game we should go into is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Now, this was a big change from what they did in
Mm,
Kingdom Hearts.
big
So,
time.
this game originally came out in for the Game Boy Advance, and it was all pixelated and everything because
Yep.
it was a Game Boy Advance. But I didn't play the Game Boy version. What they do is when they remake the games, they add an RE in front of it. So it was Kingdom Hearts RE Chain of Memories. I played the PS2 version. Brendan played both. So the gameplay of it is now you have a deck of cards, but these
Yikes.
cards are like attacks. So every time you use up an attack, you use up your card. And every
Mm-hmm.
time you use up the card, then once you finish everything, you have to reload, and you have one less card than you started with. So if
Correct.
your deck had 10 cards and you used up all 10 and reloaded it, you're coming back with 9 cards. And you just keep going. So the whole point of the game, it was way more strategic, which me
Much
as
more, yeah.
which me as a kid, like I was like I'm not with it. Like I never beat it. And
I never beat it either.
I'm really
I
ashamed to
couldn't
say.
I couldn't do it.
But
I just couldn't do it.
you had to memorize, like, if you're going through your entire deck, you have to, like, you know how like poker works, where you need like a straight flush or five of a kind or full house. You need to look at your cards and be like, I need to match this attack 6 with this attack 7 and this attack 8, and it makes like it'll make different moves. Like you have to memorize the combos.
Yeah, you had
And
to memorize what was coming in your deck when it was coming up. I got to go 7 cards this way to get my, fire one and 4 back for the health. It was crazy.
but the story was interesting. I was really into it. Like it was the change. It was really complicated, but for me it was just like this is like completely different. Like the story, like because to you're in a castle, and these cards also let you choose what room you'll go in. So when you advance, you can pick like, is this going to be a room with strong enemies? Is it going to be a room where you can save in, or is it going to be a room where there's going to be treasures? Or I think you could. So it was really just different. Like it just blew my mind. So it was like, so it still kept me in. So for me, Chain of Memories was, well, since now we're all in quarantine and everything, I think I should go back. I think I'm old enough now to beat Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
You think so? I don't know
I
about
think
that.
so. You know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. Well, so what
You're
about you?
you're braver than most. I'll say that much.
What about you? How's Chain of Memories for you?
It was tough. I mean, I was excited, when I picked up and got it from GameStop. I still remember like picking up that box, running home with it, getting like the intro cutscene, everything looked the same, and then, seeing these random characters in black cloaks, like, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. I was like, okay, this is different, but sure, whatever. And as I went further and further up, the flights in the castle, I was like, this is getting worse and worse until I got to one of the organization members. And as you're fighting, um, maybe I would get through half of their health, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I only have 2 cards left. Could just keep attacking them one at a time. Maybe I'll kill them, but
That
obviously I didn't.
that is what
So I got to
stressed
a point. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
that is what stressed me out about the game. Because it would be like sometimes I could definitely win if I
Mm.
didn't have a limit on cards.
Oh yeah, if you could keep using cards and they could keep using cards, yeah, of course you could. You have a chance. But
So
like that, losing the card, continuously losing a card was tough.
yeah, it made the game extra challenging. And
Yeah.
for me as a wee lad, I wasn't with the shits.
Nah, yeah. Nowadays, I might, appreciate that challenge, but me back then was not into that.
So if little kid me would give this game a 3 out of 10.
I say
But no, no,
4.
no. But as a grown up, I would say I understand like you're trying to do something different, like keep the keep the fans interested. But I
Yeah.
think it was a pretty bad call in terms
Mm,
of combat. So I would actually give it like a 5 or 6. I'll give it a 5.5.
I'll go with a 5.
And the next game, which I
Mm,
think everyone kind of agrees was one of the best, Kingdom Hearts 2.
Kingdom Hearts 2, yeah, absolutely.
It was just you started off and nobody knows what the hell's going on because we have a whole new person.
Hmm.
So new person, Roxas. The story was also really captivating. Like you're always just like, who are these hooded people? What is going on? Why do you, like, what are you after? And it's just reveal after reveal. Like, oh, this is Ansem. No, it's not. It was like the whole story. It was just new enemies, new fighting mechanics. It was a whole revamp of Kingdom Hearts 1, but still kept in the core of what Kingdom Hearts is.
Absolutely, it kept the core, same characters. You revisited a lot of the same worlds, but also got to experience some new ones, which was cool. Also, the plot progressed much more than it did in the first one, through the events of Chain of Memories and events of other games, which hadn't even been released yet, but they go out of order with release, and then they made games that we'll talk about in a little bit that were released later on, but took place earlier in the timeline of this franchise. So by the time you get to Kingdom Hearts 3, finally everything actually, you can understand the whole plot. They had this weird way of saying, "Oh, we'll give you bits and bits of information as we go, so we can make more and more money off of you."
So Kingdom Hearts 2, I feel like anyone who, like, if you did want to start with Kingdom Hearts 2, like just to get your feet wet, I wouldn't blame you. The combat in this was great. You would fight the enemies, and then in the middle of fighting them, you would like just hit triangle and start using them to attack everyone else. You would get, like, once you get you'll have your regular combos where you're just swinging away at this Keyblade, and all of a sudden this drive gauge would fill up, and then he would act like, when you activate the drive, your clothes would change and all your combos would change too. So it was like you're using a whole different character too. You still had all the Final Fantasy characters, all the Disney worlds. They had Lilo and Stitch, which I really enjoyed.
Yes.
Tron was another good world.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
It was.
I think when I was younger, I didn't like it, but now I appreciate it.
Right. I don't know when this became like B-rad's go-to world, but we had the Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah, my absolute favorite.
Yeah, he just, like, it was weird too, because it was just like, okay, so here's a game, and they were really trying to do new stuff, and they made it work. So they added, what would you call that, like a tap rhythm?
Yeah, it's like a tap rhythm. You had to press the X button or the triangle button at the right time to, hit the beat right with the song. And it never lined up perfectly, because it probably lined up better in the Japanese version of the game, because the music was a little bit better with the actual lyrics. When the lyrics were translated to English, it doesn't add up perfectly. The words are weird. It's stupid.
I think I never realized it, because for me, I was focusing more on the buttons than the actual matching the song.
Yeah, if you ignore the actual like beat of the song, you'll get the notes better. If you listen to the music too much, you hit it off key. Because the game just didn't have it on key. It's stupid.
Right. But Kingdom Hearts 2...
I think that song won a Grammy, though.
You're kidding me.
Kingdom... No, I'm not. No, of course I am.
Atlantis? Okay. I was about to call shenanigans.
I mean, come on. That song was just incredible.
Agreed.
Right, everyone?
Agree, disagree. But...
okay.
Kingdom Hearts 2 was... The story was... It started to get a little more convoluted, because they started going with the whole trope of amnesia, and this who, like, then reveal, like, oh, I'm not really this person's dead. But then you find out, no, this person's not dead. I am that person. And it's like, oh! And then this thing that we thought was evil, Kingdom Hearts, I think this was the game where they were just like, where he just ended it with Kingdom Hearts is light. Was that how he said that? I remember
that's how the first one ended.
I remember. Oh, that's how the first one ended?
Yeah, the first one ended. Kingdom Hearts is light.
Right. When he said that, I was just like, wait a minute, so what the hell are we fighting? But Kingdom Hearts 2, I think that if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like 9 out of 10. Almost 10 out of 10.
That's what I was Yep, I had it a 9 out of 10 also.
It was a good game. I mean, I don't really have any complaints about it. Do you?
I don't really think I did either. I think I just I give it a slightly lower rating than the first one. I think because I just preferred the story of the first one, but the second one has much better, graphics and gameplay. So overall, it's a better game than the first one. But I think for me, I just personally prefer the first one.
I'll take 2 over 1 any day. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And the next game is Kingdom Hearts Coded. So for Kingdom Hearts Coded, I never played the original because, like we were saying before, when they remake a game, they'll add the RE. This one I heard was a mobile game that came out in Japan. I don't think it came out here in America.
Yeah, I believe it came. Yeah, originally it was just a Japan mobile game.
Right. So it did come out in America as recoded for the DS. It was the most. I think this might be the worst game because it was so filler.
It was whack, and the filler was stupid until I think it was just like a cutscene at the end, like actually had some plot like that was important.
The only thing, because I had to look it up, the only thing about Coded that brought up to the main story was, I believe, at the end of one of the Kingdom Hearts games when they're on that dark island and then there's a bottle with a note in it.
Yeah, that was the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, and I assumed that was like, oh, this is going to lead into Kingdom Hearts 3.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, this is Sora getting invited to Smash, but it was neither of those things, so that's unfortunate. You would think.
But yeah, I had to look it up. So the way Coded ended was Mickey sending out that note to Sora. That's
Correct.
what that is. So, not much to say about Recoded. It would only be me talking about it because it's B-rad, you didn't play it, correct?
Yeah, I watched. Just for those listening, I watched the first maybe 10 minutes of like the cutscenes for this because that's available on one of the remixes. Like you could just watch all the cutscenes for this game that were remastered. I got like 10 minutes in, they said something really stupid, and that was it for me. I said, "That's it, I'm done."
Yeah.
But yeah, you can talk more about actual gameplay.
Right. So the gameplay, nothing special. It goes back to basics of Kingdom Hearts. You're just mashing attack button, throwing some magics, and you can tell like, yeah, this is definitely a mobile game because it wasn't all that. Like they tried to be like, oh, this will link the games together, but honestly,
Nah.
if you skip this, it wouldn't do anything for you. Like whether because they'll talk about later, like, oh, I sent that message because of X Y Z. So it was the most ridiculous story. They like because Jiminy Cricket's in it too, and apparently he keeps a journal, but then they made his journal digital, so then they had to go in the journal. It was a lot of BS. I wouldn't recommend it, and for me, I'd rate the game a 3 out of 10, and it's only getting 3 because it's Kingdom Hearts.
Well, basically, I'm giving it a 1 out of 10 because as soon as I got to that line in like one of the first cutscenes, it was so stupid. It was just like, oh, that's the same Sora, but he's just digital now, and I was like, I'm good. I'm fucking good. No thanks.
Yeah, it was like now that I see
when I heard it, I'm like, that's how you're gonna like introduce another game into this. Like you're that desperate for another game, it just doesn't even really make sense. It's like, oh, we have to like go in digitally, and like Sora's like the antivirus in our computer that's going to clean up like all the junk. Like, no, it's okay.
And B-rad's not exaggerating. That's exactly what it is. The book, the physical book that Jiminy Cricket uses has viruses, and then they made a data Sora to beat those viruses. Yep. Now that I see that it used to be a mobile game, it fits. I can totally see that they were just like, hey, buy this game for $4.99 and play through it. So nothing.
$4.99. How much money do they think people have? I wouldn't pay 99 cents for that shit.
And the next game in the series is Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days.
Yep.
So in the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, it starts with a whole new character. His name is Roxas instead of the normal Sora, and no one knew where he came from. Because by the time you play Kingdom Hearts 2, he just shows up. And
he's just there.
Just as quick as he shows up, we go right back to Sora. And we were just like, okay, cool, whatever. They told us more about Roxas towards the end of the game, but that little part of how Roxas got, like, he had amnesia, he didn't really know who he was. He knew he was Roxas, but that was about it. But
correct, yeah.
What 358 over 2 days is... It's to it's to bridge what happening between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Like while
Yes.
Sora was in the Castle Oblivion, which was in Chain of Memories, and is how Roxas was born.
Yep. How he was created and how he was introduced into Organization 13 and how they eventually basically got rid of him or tried to get rid of him, and how it led to him finding Sora at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, ending his arc.
So this was another DS game. B-rad, you didn't play this, right?
This one I did not play, but I know everything about it. I watched all the cutscenes for it. I've seen gameplay, so I understand where they were going with it, what type of gameplay like format they were going with this game. So I know enough.
Right.
The
So
lore is somewhere in there in me.
it it really is just like, hey, what was Roxas doing this whole time? Like the
It was filler anime is what it was.
it was. So what it basically was
Now I'll tell you what it was. I'll tell you exactly what it was. Gina, you've watched The Walking Dead, right?
yeah.
So you know how like you're watching The Walking Dead, you get like a couple of episodes and things are starting to build up, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, the next episode they're gonna be trapped and there's like 1,000 zombies outside. And then instead they're like, oh, you know what? We're gonna focus the next episode on the one random character in this group and how they've been dealing with the whole zombie apocalypse for the last 3 years. And how it would just randomly like do that.
It
You would.
That is the most
That's what this
accurate
game
thing. It really
Yeah.
is.
It's exactly what this is.
So
The game is starting to build up with Kingdom Hearts 2. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts 2 ends. You know, coded is, doesn't matter. But like we're all like, where's Kingdom Hearts 3? Where's Kingdom Hearts 3? And then we get this. It's like, oh, there's a number 3 in it, but it's not what we wanted.
mind you,
It's just filler because Nomura had no idea what he was doing.
mind
He
you,
was just trying to buy time.
as soon as Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, we were waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, and Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in what, 2007?
No, I think it was like 2005.
2000. Well, 2005 for Japan. I was thinking.
I'll tell you right now. We can edit this out a little bit, but Kingdom Hearts 2 came out on the PlayStation 2. Oh, hang on. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out on the PlayStation 2 in 2006 for North America. March 2006.
So from 2006, we've been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, to which it was teased in 2010. We got a trailer in 2013 for the game not to release until 2019.
Yep.
So
It's like
imagine
it's just like the Half-Life fan base. They're still waiting on Half-Life 3. They're getting like other Half-Lives to hold them over because they know Half-Life 3 is never going to happen. They just got a new Half-Life that came out a couple of weeks ago. It's not it's not Half-Life 3 if I understand correctly.
No. It's like a 2. You know what? You would understand it better. It's like a 2.5.
Yeah. It is a 2.5 HD remix with some new flavor added in. That's all it is.
But let me just finish 358 over 2. For anyone out there who played Pokemon Mystery Dungeons, the way the game works is you have a board of missions to do, and you just do those missions. And as you do those missions, days pass. So it's like counting days and everything. And then like once you finish like maybe 5 or 10 missions, you'll have a story advanced mission, then more random missions. The game, it's another game that you can definitely skip. The big selling point for this game was it's supposed to be cooperative multiplayer. So while you were using Roxas, you could have used Axel or other people from the organization.
Mm.
But since I didn't know that many people who was into Kingdom Hearts at that time, or who even played the game, actually, I think even as of now, I don't know anyone else who played 358 over 2. I am the only one. So I never got to enjoy the multiplayer part of it. I was riding solo the whole time. But
hanging strong.
But
You were stronger than the rest of us.
I'll give it a 5. It was okay. It wasn't Kingdom Hearts 3. That's all I can say.
I didn't even give this one a rating, unfortunately. But even though I gave Coded a rating, I can't really speak on the gameplay, but the story is important. It does go back a little bit, like on the importance of Roxas and his vitalness to the organization, and you do learn about how This is where you start to see that the organization members do actually have feelings, even though nobody's technically don't. It's another very weird tripe. Um, but it offers something for the story, so it's if you're trying to get into this series, you could at least watch the cutscenes. I'm not going to tell you to go buy the DS version of the game, but if you have like 4 hours to kill, and during quarantine, I think you can watch the cutscenes for this.
That is a good point that B-rad brings.
Yeah.
There is there's two collections for the game. It's called 1.5 and 2.5, right?
Yep, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and Kingdom Hearts 2.5.
They're not. I think when they released, they weren't even full price. Like they were $40 or something. And I
Mm,
think you can get them now even cheaper since they came out a while ago. You get that
correct.
collection, you'll get Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and the entire cutscene for
Coded.
Coded
And then Kingdom Hearts 2 gives you Kingdom
2.5.
Hearts 2.5 gives you Kingdom Hearts 2. The next game we're going to talk about Birth by Sleep and the cutscenes for 358 over 2 days.
Oh, did they ever do the cutscenes for Dream Drop Distance? Or is that a full game?
That's on a different combo bundle, but you
Oh,
can play that.
I forgot there was another one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which for me has to be one of my favorite Kingdom Hearts.
Me too.
So this one
It's
released
high up there.
for so it released not for the PlayStation Portable. So you see, it's a whole nother system again. And we're just like,
You mean the
okay,
PSP? You
yeah,
mean the PSP? No one
yeah.
calls it the PlayStation Portable.
Well, yeah. They had PSP Go. They had a lot. The PSP Vita was a failure.
That's true.
But when we're at,
PSP is still ahead of its time.
it was a good. It was. I think it might have been the best handheld. You know what? DS wasn't that bad. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But Birth by Sleep. So for this one, what they did for this game is I would say the combat is like Kingdom Hearts, but the story was just so much better. Like I should have brought up the worlds because I remember the worlds I was really into in Birth by Sleep.
So the Land of Departure, that's where you start, and that's where Castle Oblivion becomes. Then you had Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Snow White. The Lilo and Stitch world.
Right.
Winnie the Pooh, I think, is in this one again. Radiant Garden, Neverland, and Olympus.
Right. So Birth by Sleep, the reason I loved it so much was the story was it was a lot it was a lot more serious too. Like between the whole Vanitas thing and um one like the main characters are Aqua, Ventus, and Terra. Aqua was like the big sister who cared for everyone. Ventus was like the carefree kid, and Terra was like the brooding older brother. Still, with a heart of gold. I really like the game because you got to play with all three of them. You finish one story, you finish Aqua's story, and you go to Ventus' story, then you go to Terra's story, and you see what everyone's doing at the same time, and see how it all converges towards the end. It takes place in the
10.
world, yeah, 10 years before Kingdom Hearts, and it answered pretty much a lot of secrets, like questions I had, like why does Ventus and Roxas look the same? Why does Vanitas and Sora look the same? Well, I don't know if it actually didn't answer that part, but did they? No, I think that answered
I
in
think
like
they waited until Kingdom Hearts 3 to answer that one, and it's a stupid answer.
it was. Yeah,
It's
they
because reasons, Sora.
they really just shoehorned it in. But
Yeah.
Birth by Sleep, I like games I would really say don't sleep on. Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Like those
Mm.
had such a big impact on me, and I just love them. The combat, I said before, it was like Kingdom Hearts. I don't think it had a lot of the extra features Kingdom Hearts 2 had, right?
No, and
Yeah.
it wasn't as advanced as Kingdom Hearts 2. Gameplay mechanics, and it couldn't be because it was on a PSP, so it was a little more limited. But considering it was on a PSP, it still offered a lot.
Yeah, I was surprised because whenever I think of handheld games, I don't think they could hold as much as a console. But I got a lot of enjoyment out of Kingdom Hearts 3, Birth by Sleep.
I
Like
did too.
it was a good amount of time. Like when I saw there was gonna be three characters, I was worried. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like three short stories, but they were
No, it was 3 full-on
yeah.
stories. And they really did like take their own path. There were like a couple of points where they would meet up with each other, but it was so brief, and they all went on their own way again.
Hmm. And you never felt like you were repeating stuff because you would you would visit the same. I think there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh damn, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 worlds in the game, and you would be going through the worlds again with each character, but at a different point, like dealing with different characters, dealing with different boss. Sometimes you'll fight the same bosses, but like you'll see like why certain things happen when you
Yeah.
go through
And I
someone
think
else's
I
story.
think even sometimes you only would go through certain parts of the world with one character, and then you would go through other parts of the world with a different character.
Yeah, it was.
Like I think in Neverland, which is the Peter Pan world, I think you go in different areas as Aqua than you do as Terra. I don't think they actually go in the same areas, which is kind of cool.
Right. So like I think I can't remember very clearly, but I remember for Cinderella's world, for one character you would spend most of it on the outside and one inside the castle.
Yes.
So it'll be
Yeah,
something
one's
like
outside,
that.
one's inside.
So don't sleep on Birth by Sleep. Really good game. I during this whole quarantine I might be playing going through all this, I just like I can't wait to bring back Chain of Memories and Birth by Sleep.
Yeah,
Because it
this
was
whole
just really good.
podcast is kind of like reawakening all this stuff, you know. Like Sora, I've been asleep for a while, and I guess it's time to wake me up. You know, maybe my memories have been restored. But yeah, this is probably my third favorite game out of all these games in the franchise. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
I'll give it a 9.
Nice, that's fair.
9. Is it? It's in my top
It
8
has
too.
it's the it has the it's the introduction of my favorite character in this series, and that's Aqua.
Yeah, Aqua's Bay. He's
Yeah, that's the
definitely
truth.
Bay.
100%.
And the next game in the series would be Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. So,
I hate that you had to put the word 3D in there because that is what it is called. I forgot it had the 3D in there.
so they went with this name for one because this was coming out for the 3DS. So they're trying to be clever. But anyone who owned a 3DS knows you very rarely played on 3D. You would just play it for like a couple minutes, like, oh, okay, cool. This is hurting my eyes. I'm turning this off. And you would just keep going with the game in complete 2D. A pretty interesting mechanic. So I can scratch this out for you too. You didn't play this.
No, this one I played.
You played Dream Drop Distance?
Yeah, I played
Okay,
Dream Drop
cool,
Distance. I
wonderful.
got a 3DS before this game.
Okay, wonderful. So cool. We can
Yeah.
both talk about this. So for me, I thought it was really interesting the way it worked. In between, you have to keep switching between Sora and Riku,
Hmm.
the two different characters. But the way it works is not like you advance in the story as one person and you get to go randomly to another. You're just in the middle of fighting and you have like this gauge. And once this gauge ends, it's like, okay, you're done, time to switch. And it's just be like,
Yeah.
what? Um,
I
it,
think sometimes it would change characters. Like if you beat the world, then you could go to the next character. But for the most part, you would just like on a timer with Sora or Riku, and you could be like mid boss fight, and the timer just runs out. It's like, oh, we'll stop for now.
oh, I
We'll
want to
come
talk.
back to this later.
I want to talk about that because
Okay.
one time I was getting my ass kicked by one of the bosses, and he was wrecking my shit. And he was coming in for a final attack that I knew was gonna kill me. And then the way the game works, once you switch, it's almost like you dying because
Yeah.
it's just like time slows down or stops for a little bit, and it goes to Riku. So for me, this guy was dashing at me, and I was like, all right, I'm dead because I was like he was like mid multi combo. So he came at me, and then doom, and then the game changed, and I was like, okay, I guess I lost. Then I just started as Riku, and I was like, oh, okay.
Are you saying there's a chance?
I was scared the whole time I was playing as Riku. I didn't want to go back to Sora because I was just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck am I coming back to? Am I gonna be at full health? Like, what's gonna happen when I get to the boss fight? Long story short, I got back and he did beat me.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
unfortunate.
but yeah, it was an interesting game. It was for a mobile 3DS because it seemed like for coded and 358 over 2, they were like, okay, so for the DS ones, we're not going to make them too important. But Dream Drop Distance was pretty important in terms of the gameplay. We didn't have Final Fantasy characters, but we had another Square Enix game, The World Ends with You.
Right.
So
Oh, this Dream Drop didn't have any Final Fantasy characters
no,
again?
they went with a different Square Enix game
Right.
called The
Okay.
World's Ends Few, which I actually
Yes.
picked up because of this game, and it
How
was
was it?
um another interesting game in terms of combat. It was
Okay.
like I played it for the iPhone. I didn't get it for the DS, but like
Hmm.
you know, I guess I could do a podcast on that on my own, or just that's a whole nother conversation, a deep hole. But I'm for the most part, Square Enix, they're a pretty good publisher for games. But back to Dream Drop Distance. So one of the things they added on this, because they want to take advantage of everything for the 3DS. So for the
Hmm.
3D part, and the game also has AR cards. So you're supposed to use the AR cards, and you get to summon these Dream Eaters,
Right. Yeah. I forgot about the cards.
which were enemies and allies. So
Correct.
you would use them, and you just jump around with them, or attack with them, and collect money with them, or attack enemies. It it was a it wasn't all that. This is another game. I was just like, this is just filler. Just give me my Kingdom Hearts 3. Why do you keep doing this to me?
Yep.
Why? But
Yeah.
like when they announced this, I was like, why are you doing this to me? I'm gonna buy it. I'm not gonna like it. I played it, but it was like really, really, really big on story. But they also did this weird thing because they were older, but when they went into the dream world to become Keyblade masters, they went back to
Correct.
being
Yeah.
younger, and I was like, but like for why?
Yeah, and they had their like adult voices, which threw me off.
Yeah, it was.
And hearing young Sora like, "Hey, what's going on here?" It's just like, "Whoa, guy, it's are you a pedophile or what? Calm down."
Uh, this game, not. I'll give it a 4.
I gave it a 6. I think maybe because I just remember like the plot kind of leading further toward Kingdom Hearts 3, but I wasn't like a fan of the world and not even a fan of like the gameplay. I didn't like the whole um what's the word I'm looking for? Not motion control, but the
3D,
not the 3D, but like when Sora would spin around the poles and then like do the what did
free,
they call that?
free motion, free move.
Was it free motion? We could edit this a little bit. I'm gonna check really quick. It had a certain name for it that they added. Dream drop distance. Gameplay. Oh, flow motion. Flow motion.
Right.
So yeah, this game introduced flow motion, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I didn't, get the whole appeal. They tried to make it like, whoa, this is the next big thing. I'm like, yeah, but in Kingdom Hearts 2, like Sora could fly and glide around. Like, why do I need to be like spinning around poles like an idiot to do the same thing?
I never used that in Kingdom Hearts 3.
What, the glide?
No, the flow motion. They had that in Kingdom Hearts 3 too.
Yep, I just totally ignored it. I was
Yeah,
like, no, that's good.
yeah.
I
It,
think like however you do it, I didn't do it. I was like, nah, that's okay.
I'm pretty sure I disequipped that skill.
I might have disequipped it too. I was just like, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
But you gave it a 6 out of 10. I gave it a 4. It was. Uh, I'm glad they know which games not to remake. Like they were like, we
Yeah.
don't need these cutscenes. So
No,
then
they remade that one. What are you talking about?
wait, they remade Dream Drop Distance?
Yeah, you can play it on the PS4.
No, you're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you.
Why?
It was part of that 2.8 collection.
2.8. So 2.8 had Kingdom Hearts 2.
No, 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 no. Oh,
Oh, you mean
no.
2.8, not 2.
Yeah, 2.8,
Oh.
2.8. Yep, there's too many bundles in this franchise. They can't even they spend too much time making like game bundles. They can't even make new games.
Yeah, I'm not playing that. Yeah.
I mean, it took them like 6 years to make Kingdom Hearts 3. From the time it was like first announced to the actual release was like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Because they were too busy spending that time remaking games. Like, oh, we'll just remake this one. Like, no, just focus exclusively on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, they kept messing up Kingdom Hearts. I mean, Final Fantasy 7. I know Final Fantasy 7 took them shitload.
That took like, they probably started working on that when Final Fantasy 7 first came out.
Yeah. Well, in 2010, he said Tetsuya was like he's working on Final Fantasy. Damn, what the fuck is this called? It's
He's
13.
basically nah, he's done with Final Fantasy. They don't even want him involved anymore, so that should say something about this franchise.
Which one?
Like
Final Fantasy? Final Fantasy?
yeah, they don't want Nomura really involved with it anymore. So that's why we'll talk about it a little bit. Moving forward, Kingdom Hearts 3 and whatever comes after that will have like its own Final Fantasy twist with characters that aren't from Final Fantasy. Like he's so desperate to make a Final Fantasy game and they won't let him. He's just putting his own in Kingdom Hearts. So like Yuzora is a pretend Final Fantasy character.
Oh, okay. So he's making. Okay, I got you. So he's just making
Yep.
his own character, his own original.
Yep, because they won't let him do it the way he wants.
Well, it sucks we're not gonna have Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts anymore, but I do think Kingdom Hearts now, with the clout it has now, it can stand on its own.
To a point, yeah.
So the next game that they have is called Kingdom Hearts Key, but it's supposed to be spelled as Chi, and it's a symbol of like an.
It's the letter X.
It's like the letter X, but like it like fell through the line. Look it up. Kingdom Hearts have put an X, and you'll see it. It's like this. It's pronounced Chi, but it was a PC browser game that came out in Japan in 2012. Then it closed, and then they opened it again on mobile here in the United States. And I don't know how well you know about this, Brendan.
Mhm.
B-rad. Well, okay, B-rad. I don't know how well you know, but it's a. You know what a gacha game is?
Remind me.
So it's basically a game that they release for free, and it's gonna be a full game, but like they release new characters every couple of weeks or so, and
Okay.
you can grind for their premium currency, or you can pay for it. So that's how.
Right.
So a lot of games now, like Mario and Sonic, Dragon Ball Z, anime games, like what they do is they release these games, and they're like, hey, you can go farm this premium currency so you can summon for stronger characters, or you can just go pay for it. So that's what Unchained is.
Yeah. Just a mess.
We're gonna ease past it. We're gonna go past it. It's
Yeah,
a mobile game.
you played it too, right? I played
Yeah.
it. It's fine. It passed the time. Honestly, for me, it passed the time for a couple of days.
Yeah, it was only.
And I was like, I wanted it. I wanted to get into it, and some people like really got into it to the point that, like the people that played it a lot, actually their name is in Kingdom Hearts 3 for like being avid players of this. I'm like, that's okay. I'm fine.
Oh man, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I
So
kinda wish I
do you remember in Kingdom Hearts 3 when you had to when you spam triangle when you're fighting the big heartless monster,
Yeah,
and it shows like all those random like words and names?
I thought those were Make-A-Wish kids.
No, they're all. I mean, they might as well be. They're all Union Cross like players. Those are their like usernames and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So there were people playing Kingdom Hearts 3 like, oh, there's my name. I like, could you be any more of a simp?
I don't even feel like rating Kingdom Hearts. It was
Yeah, it's not worth it.
yeah. It's story advancing, but it's just a lot of. It's still going on too. Like they'll still send me notifications like, hey, come back and we'll give you all these.
come
I'm
back,
like,
please.
yeah, I'm like, no, thank you. I'm good.
No, thank you. So you still have it on your phone?
Yeah.
No, I
hardly.
nah. You don't have the heart.
Oh, I didn't know that was unintentional. And next is Kingdom Hearts 3.
You missed one.
Ooh, what?
0.2.
Oh, how could I? Yes.
This one is good.
0.2 was that was amazing. I was thinking, I was like, wait a minute, was it amazing because I haven't gotten anything new in so many years that I crave attention? But no.
Good point.
It was really good because
It was very good. 0.2. What's it called? It's 0.2, a fragmentary passage. It serves as the demo for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it came out maybe a year before Kingdom Hearts 3, maybe a little less. but it was on the same new engine that Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be on, so it's the same gameplay, the same graphics, introduced some new things to us. It was like a little, just a little tease for what Kingdom Hearts 3 could be like, and it revolved around my favorite character, Aqua, and what she's going through at this point in time in the franchise.
Right. So at the end of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, shit went sideways.
Yeah, very depressing game.
For a PlayStation, for a PSP game, it was like they like this whole from the whole genre. You think, oh, Disney characters all happy and everything. This one ended on everyone got fucked. Like,
Yeah.
It was all bad. So Aqua's walking around in the realm of darkness. I think
Yep.
she's inside Kingdom Hearts. I wasn't entirely sure. I think
I believe she might have been.
right.
Or I think she was just in the realm of darkness.
So basically 0.2 was just like, hey everyone, sorry about making you wait. Here's this like it literally was just a demo that we have to no, because 2.8 came with 2.8
That was part of the
0.2.
0.2 bundle, so it
Right.
was like you paid I think maybe 30 or 40 for it.
Right. It was a fun little prequel. You know what? I'm not even gonna lie. It was. I really enjoyed it, and I really don't know if it's. I don't know. I don't know if I can say that I really enjoyed it because I waited so long, or I was just so happy to see how far they came. Because it's just like we had to wait. Like it had to been like over.
It was years between like 2 and 3, between 2 and 0.2, probably 10 years at least. I mean, I'm gonna 0.2.
And I remember when it came out, me and B-rad were talking. We were just like, okay, so let's talk about this. With how great it looks, like in terms of graphics and combat and everything.
12 years.
12 years. The game looked beautiful.
Incredible.
I can see all that hard work they put into it. So me and B-rad we had a little discussion. Was it worth the wait? I think we were 50-50 on like, we'll let it slide, but don't pull this shit again.
We did, yeah. I think we were like, you know what? It was really good, even though it was very short. I think
We could have.
it's about two. It's like, huh?
I think if we just did it straight, it was like 30 minutes.
With cutscenes and everything, it's about 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's short. It's short.
Okay.
If you like speed run it, you could probably do it in like 30 minutes.
So it was good again. Again, if anyone wants to get into the series, the bundles 1.5, 2.5, 2.8.
Actually, no, you don't even need the bundles anymore. If you're listening, you Google right now Kingdom Hearts,
I forgot. Yeah.
all in one package. I think.
I forgot.
it's-
Yeah, you can get all of them now.
Yep, the Kingdom Hearts all in one package. I believe it's full price. I think it's 60. It just came out about a month ago, and I think it's on PS4 and Xbox One, and it comes with all of the games we've mentioned. 1, 2. We haven't even talked about 3, and everything else in between that we've mentioned is all on one box. Now we both have this through all those bundles already, so we're technically good. And Gene, if you buy this all in one package, I'm not speaking to you for a while. I'll lose a little bit of respect. Because you already own them all. You already own all of these things. You don't need a second copy.
I think to run it down real quick, I have 3 different copies of Kingdom Hearts. I have 3 different copies of Chain of Memories, 3 different copies of Kingdom Hearts 2, 2? I might have 3 copies of Coded.
Oh my god.
No. Coded was a movie, so I have 1 full game of Coded and 2 copies of the movie. 358 over 2. They were movies, don't count. 3 copies of Birth by Sleep, which I will hold proudly. Fine.
That's okay.
Don't
I'll
mind.
let that one go, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. I can't do any more remakes. There's no justifying it.
Nah, they're gonna keep. Can they even do more remakes? I think they kind of.
If they do,
I
it for
think
the
they've
PS5, I don't know what you guys are doing. No one's getting that.
No, please.
Just give me my Kingdom
I think
Hearts
the only game they could remake is Kingdom Hearts 3, because I think everything else has been remade.
Yeah, but it's not even that far back for you to remake Kingdom Hearts 3.
But you want to fucking test them because they'll take you up on it quick. They're like, oh, you want it again? Okay.
Nah, I couldn't do it.
Actually, no, they already did that. The Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC is just a remake of the game, and I hate it. But we'll get to that in a minute.
We will get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But I'll agree.
What would you rate 0.2?
I really want. Part of me wants to give it 10 out of 10, but it's just a demo. Ooh. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. I feel like
I'm giving it an 8. I'm giving it an 8 just because it didn't give me more, I guess. I understand why it was only so much. It was a demo. But I guess it was part of me waiting those 12 years. I wanted more, but it was really good. I'll give it a solid 8.
I'll give it. Do I want to stick to 10?
Stick with it.
Yeah, I'll give it the 10. Only because after seeing how long, I was just blown away. Like it reignited all my hype for Kingdom Hearts 3. Because there was a point where all the fans, we were just kind of like, "Hey, Kingdom Hearts 3? No, okay, whatever," and we just kept it moving because just like. We were already beaten down. Like you win. Like
they just used us. Like they're like, no, you'll keep waiting, right? Yeah, of course.
Like it was just it was a good demo, but it was also just like, hey, we didn't forget about you. Here's all this hard work. And now we're fine. Oh, should we talk about back cover?
We'll talk about back cover really quick. Back cover was part of the 0.2 bundle. It was about an hour long, just cutscenes of these ancient Keyblade wielders who were around before the whole plot of Kingdom Hearts started, and it just vaguely goes into who they are and how things they did back then set up plot points for Kingdom Hearts 3. It's not super important. If you're really invested into this franchise, you'll watch it, or you should watch it. But definitely not necessary. We just kind of had to cover it because we've covered everything else.
Right. It wasn't... It happens in the middle of Kingdom Hearts Key.
Union, right?
Yeah. Union Cross Super Deluxe.
Kingdom Hearts Animal Union Crossing.
Right. Not like that one. So it was... I watched it. It was equally as confusing. It was... I don't even know what happened. Don't ask me for a summary. I couldn't tell you.
Do you know how much stupider and that's the whole point. That's not even a real word. I've gotten more stupider during this podcast, just realizing how insane this franchise is.
If they can just tie everything and just give us an answer to everything, then it'll really make me go oh shit. But it's just oh wait, why?
No, they can't even do. They don't even have a plot device that would answer every question. There's nothing.
I think they do.
Every answer they give creates 2 more issues, basically.
It may sound like we're shitting on them, but it was just we can tell once they got to Kingdom Hearts 3. When was it when they started adding time travel?
I think it was really mentioned in Dream Drop at the end of Dream Drop Distance when Xehanort finally returned and showed how he came back. Oh, I created this version of myself and sent him back in time, and then he told another one to go forward. That's when it was just come on, I know if you think you have to be smart to watch Rick and Morty, you have to be a mad scientist to understand this plot.
3,000 IQ.
Yeah. A 358 over 2 IQ.
I don't know why I keep missing out these cues. These are obviously jokes I should get. But yeah, we'll move into Kingdom Hearts 3 now.
Yeah.
Finally. Brendan, I'll let you start this one.
All right. Yeah. So this is the final. This is the end of what's being known as the Xehanort saga, because even though we've mentioned different names and Xemnas and Ansem and stuff, the main villain is Xehanort. And kind of like Voldemort and Harry Potter, he split himself into all these different places, used time travel, used different people's souls, basically body snatching and everything. But he's the main bad guy, and this is finally the final showdown where Sora gets to face him and kick his ass. So this is for us, this is the big finale. Even though there's going to be a future for this franchise, this, for most fans, this is what we've really been waiting on. So this is, like we talked about with 0.2, the graphics for Kingdom Hearts 3 were incredible. The cutscenes were movie quality for the most part. The music was amazing as always. We didn't get as many worlds as we did in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but these worlds were massive. that it took hours to go through each world. And this was the first game that, even though all these games have Disney aspects to them, this is the first time that they were able to use Pixar, which was really cool. So you got to see Monsters Inc., Toy Story, and I believe there was one other that was referenced or used, and it's just not coming to me right now. Doesn't matter. Anyway. But the plot was good enough. It kind of went through everything we've talked about and started bridging the gap between everything. And then you have your final showdown between all the main good characters we've mentioned and all the bad characters. There's too many to even count. There's 13 of them, but there's like more like 100 of them because there's so many different versions of themselves. And you get through all that, you get to the end, you beat the boss, and the biggest like fuck you ever is that this guy that's destroyed these main characters' lives, like sent them basically, like Aqua, you could say, like was sent to hell for like a decade. He basically killed Kairi. He made Ventus have like PTSD for years. He tortured Riku. He made Sora's life a living hell. And at the end of it, he says, I was just trying to do the right thing, but the wrong method. And then everyone's like, oh, my bad. All good. And guess where he goes? He basically goes to heaven. Like, this piece of shit is just like, nah, I'm going away now. And he goes to whatever Kingdom Hearts version of heaven is. He goes there. So it was just like a nice, like, fuck you, to me at least. I don't know about Eugene.
It was just, yeah, I didn't get that. So at the end, it was like the bad guy. True in form, the ending of the game was like a very Disney ending. Like I couldn't even. There's nothing you can say.
No, like... Disney commits. They'll kill the villain. Nomura couldn't commit. He's like, no, it's misunderstood. He tried to make the main villain of this franchise like an angsty teenager who's also like 80 years old.
And it's not.
It's like, oh, it's puberty. He's just misunderstood.
And it's not like he. It's not like he changed his way in the middle of it. It was like we beat him, and they were just like,
yeah, it's like
there's nothing else we can do.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, I love the darkness.
And then it's just gone, heaven. But I feel bad that we just like we were waiting all these years for it, and now we're just like, man, what a bullshit ending. But yeah. All in all, I feel like for me, Kingdom Hearts 3, they tried to tie up every loose end, and they had some loose ends. They were just like, I don't even know how to tie it up, and they were just like, time travel, just whatever.
There were a couple they just kind of like left right on the table, like we talked about earlier, why Roxas and Ventus look alike. They really briefly were just like, oh yeah, we had to tie up some loose ends, and it's just the two of them staring at each other like, why the hell do you look just like me? And that was it. They weren't like, it was all off screen, all the important stuff that happened.
But for just talking about the gameplay, the game was beautiful. Combat was fluid. They had what was the attraction thing called? Well, basically they would bring a whole bunch of
ride flow.
Yeah, it would bring a bunch of rides from Disney World into the game and use that to attack the enemies.
Yeah, that was really cool. So you got like not Splash Mountain. You got like the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad ride. You got like the Mad Teacup ride. I forget the name of the ride. It's in the Animal Kingdom. It's a water rafting ride. So that was in there. But that was cool. For people who know like more about Disney, like I actually had a friend. Since we care about security on the Grey Boy, the Greycast network, I'm just gonna say Sebastian, not the actual name, but I'm gonna call this person Sebastian. This person worked at Disney World, and they were really impressed by seeing like actual Disney World mechanics actually thrown into this game, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, so with this Kingdom Hearts 3, we got rid of the Final Fantasy characters, so this was really just a Disney game. The only homage...
Yeah, this was the most Disney game. They totally glanced over Final Fantasy.
Right. The only homage they made to Final Fantasy was, if you remember in the Toy Story world, the famous cactus?
Buzz Lightyear and Woody, of course.
Right. No, no, I mean, I don't know. You know the cactus that has like one hand up, one hand
Oh, the
down.
cactus. I'm
Right.
sorry. I thought you said characters.
No, no,
Yes,
no,
the
the
cactus
cactus.
is yeah, the only thing in Kingdom Hearts 3 that was from Final Fantasy was the cactus, and then the Koopa were used again, but they even were much less than other games.
But it was a beautiful game. Combat was great. One thing I really liked is in the game there's different keyblades, but you have to like really you'd have to keep equipping them like after you unlock them because
Yeah,
usually
and you can actually like grind them out to actually like get more experience with them and give them more abilities, which is cool.
right, and each keyblade had a different way to fight, different combos. Once you get your combo meter high enough, then the weapon would transform at least 2 times. They would have different shot locks, which is basically like using the keyblade like a gun. It was just the combat was completely overhauled, and even if the story made no sense whatsoever, combat was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. The bosses were all interesting and different. You had to really think about how you're gonna fight them. It was the combat. It was like if I had to rate Kingdom Hearts on the way it looked and the combat, I'd give it 10 out of 10. Like in terms of like from Kingdom Hearts 1 to now, it
Oh
has
yeah,
the best
yeah. In
combat from
terms of
all of them, best graphics of all of them. Story, they really they kind of fell out only because they
yeah,
really
that's where my grade drops is the story.
they
Even
back
though they did tie up all the loose ends, it was still kind of I don't know.
they backed themselves into a real corner. So I think
Yeah.
that's what the issue is. So overall for me, 8 out of 10. It's
That's exactly what I gave it. I
eight
think
out of
that might
ten.
have been the first one we maybe Kingdom Hearts 2 was were those were the only two ones we gave it the same rating. And then yeah, so this was good. And then do we talk about the DLC?
So
Cuz this is where my rage will start coming in.
so the DLC is called Remind, and that name is perfect because you are just playing through the last part of this game.
Because it reminds you how much of a simp you are for paying $40 for this DLC, which is what I did.
Yeah, we all did.
Did you wait? Did you spend $30 or $40? Because there were two different versions of the DLC.
Oh, then I paid 30. You got the one with the music, the CD, right?
Yeah, which I didn't need because so as we briefly talked about, Kingdom Hearts is like it's well known for its music. Like other franchises like Zelda, and other games similar, same genre, that have big orchestras and big music. Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably my favorite franchise in video games for music. So as I mentioned, my friend Sebastian, we're both big Kingdom Hearts fans. We actually went to see the orchestra in concert this past summer, and I got the CD from that, and that's basically all that was added in the DLC. And I was like, oh well, I'm a simp. I'll spend that $10 extra again. I don't care.
He's dedicated. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I'm dedicated. All right, dedicated to being an asshole.
But the Remind DLC, it was hyped up to. Apparently, they had some more loose ends they wanted to. No, no, not even that. So the way the game ended, we like it left us with more questions. So it looks like they were kind of building towards Kingdom Hearts 4, but they were like, no, 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 we'll take care of it here in Remind, and we're just like, oh, okay. And you basically just did the last 5 boss fights over. Like I don't even think it,
More, probably more.
and it's not like
You basically just go to the final like level of Kingdom Hearts 3, fight all the boss battles again, have to watch all the same cutscenes. You maybe get 20 seconds of new cutscene in like 2 hours worth of replaying this.
and I think we had one boss fight. So okay, here's another thing with Remind that
Yeah, you get one new boss fight, I think, or like two, if you count the stupid Mickey Mouse thing, where it's just like spamming triangle, which was the biggest cringe ever. And this is a game with Disney characters, and it's cringe left and right, and this was just super cringe. Oh no, I'm hurt, but I can't leave my friends. Press triangle to help me.
that was really good. I almost felt like Mickey was here.
I am. You fucking idiot.
So another thing in Remind, they let us play as other characters. So all of Kingdom Hearts 3, was it all? No, well, there were parts of Kingdom Hearts 3 where you got to play
99% of Kingdom Hearts 3 was Sora. You get
right.
like one brief moment as Riku.
But this one, they let you use, they let you use Roxas. They let you use, I think,
That was good.
Aqua.
Oh, yeah, Aqua's in Kingdom Hearts 3 also, so 98% of the game is Sora. So the DLC you could play briefly as Aqua, Riku, Kairi, and then you kind of play as all the other characters for like half a second each, just like part of like a whole command chain thing, like on the final hit on the boss, which is cheesy.
Well, I don't know about B-rad, but I did not pick. I tried playing as the other characters to see how it is, but I guess
It was tough.
it was because like you can go into the DLC with your character, which by
Hmm.
now Brendan and B-rad and I, oh god, B-rad and
It's just,
I,
no, it's fine. Just it doesn't matter.
B-rad and I
We,
had
we said
already.
we've said Brendan in all the other podcasts anyway.
You know that is true. I don't know why
Yeah,
I've stressed.
it's all good. You keep stressing over it.
Yeah.
It's really a big
So
deal.
Brendan and I, we both had our sword like max level, strongest weapon, like basically just like one swing and like just bludgeoning the
Oh
enemy.
yeah.
So it was pretty much easy. The one that I tried to was when we got to the Kyrie part, but Kyrie got her ass kicked, and I was like,
That was tough. That was the toughest one. That was the one I almost quit on.
So
Yeah, that was almost the one. I'm like, if I go back as Sora now, I can beat this guy in 7 seconds flat. Instead, it took like 3 or 4 minutes.
but Remind, me personally, do I hate it? No, it was okay. I'm upset that it definitely could have been part of the main game. It didn't need to be its own DLC, and it definitely didn't need to be $30. They were reusing a lot. We got one new fight and two button mashing sections, so it did not need to be $30. If you want to skip the Remind, just look it up online. I would not blame you.
I am the opposite. You said you didn't mind it. I loathe it. I think it's the biggest joke. It was just another cash grab by this franchise, which we've both been victims to before. I thought it was just a joke, like you said. This should have just been in the game. It could have been introduced, even just as additional cutscenes or something. They tried to copy Kingdom Hearts 2.5 by having all the secret bosses at the end, which are incredibly difficult. It's like borderline impossible. And then, like, they try and introduce Nomura's new Final Fantasy characters and stuff. It's just lame. It was just a lame excuse, for people to spend $30 or $40 to get absolutely nothing new. That could have just been introduced in an upcoming Kingdom Hearts game that'll probably come out in another 15 years. So if I have to rate Remind, I give it a 2 out of 10.
I'll give it a. I'll give it a 5 only because that fight when we got to use everyone, I thought that was pretty cool. That got me hyped.
But I can't wait for you to spend $30 when it comes out on the PS5. He's gonna do it, everyone.
I'm not saying I am, but I'm not saying I won't.
You heard that pause. You heard that moment of thought.
So this podcast is already long enough. I have 1 hour and 21
And
minutes.
there's
of it.
probably no one left listening.
Definitely not. Unless like we really
If you're
got to
here,
it.
thank you. We appreciate you.
And you better leave a like and hit that bell.
Better leave a like. You better leave a comment telling us, I don't know, something. Tell us how much you hate Nomura. That way we could bond. How about that?
Besides
Like that. It's like, I feel like Gene is like the good cop, and I've become the bad cop, where I'm just like losing my shit, and Gene's just like, let's be friendly, this is a friendly podcast for everyone. Fuck everyone.
Yeah, this is a podcast about a Disney game. I mean, it's all singing animals and everything.
True. He's not wrong. Jesus Christ, yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 literally had Let It Go in it. Full.
Oh man.
Full Let It Go.
Okay, yeah. One little qualm about this. Frozen was like the worst.
Really?
I thought it was the worst world. What do you think?
It
Was the
wasn't my
worst world?
favorite, but it was one of my favorites.
It wasn't my favorite, but it was one of my favorites. Okay.
Corona was my favorite. Not that Corona. Not the one you're thinking of.
Oh well, we just got demonetized. Thanks for nothing.
All
right.
What do you know?
And we are out.